away we go on a Wednesday edition of Mr. Relevant. I'm Alex Strouf with you from the Gruber Law Offices, One Call That's All studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee. Joshy DiMaggio is here. Will Summers is here. Tiny Hands Hunter Vaughn with us as well back at the Everlight Solar Studio in downtown Madison. We had a day today, this morning, as we talked about it on Monday's show, right? Just kind of, heat of the moment, me throwing out the potential idea of participating in an NFL combine-styled workout to calculate my relative athletic score, the RAS score. Well, we followed through. This morning, we participated, when I say we, I participated in a broad jump, in a vertical jump, in a three-cone drill that has over 20,000 views on Twitter right now, and, of course, a 40-yard dash. So we have the results, we have the video, and we have witnesses, which include none other than Josh DiMaggio. Good afternoon, Joshy.
I'm having a hard time even looking at you. You are currently wearing the Brad Nortman Combine shirt, tank top.
Yeah.
But it's more than just that. It is and was one of the most appalling, breathtaking, confounding displays of athleticism I've ever seen. I don't think you know how to run. I don't think you know how to jump. It seems like, and I described on Twitter, your three-cone drill, you're running as if you have a back brace on and rubber bands around your knees. People don't run like that. Do you not feel weird? Did you run like that when you played sports? Did anyone ever tell you that's not what you do?
Are you aware I ran cross-country?
Yeah, I am. And I'd love to see video footage of it.
I was much better than I was today. I mean, that was 10 years ago.
Yeah, but so running is like riding a bike. You kind of just learn it, you keep it.
Yeah, I mean, the one that is obviously making the rounds on social media is the three-cone drill, which is really tough. And you were there. I was having a tough time understanding how it works.
It was tough for you.
Yeah, that's fair.
Did you never play a sport where you had to do those quick agility drills?
Yeah, no, I did. I played basketball.
Yeah, so you didn't seem to understand the importance of getting low.
Yeah, I didn't. That one wasn't clicking.
Yeah, because it's the most upright I've ever seen a human run. Hence why I thought you had a back brace. Now,
so hold on. So the point you are making right now is you are actually surprised by how unathletic I am, despite knowing that I'm unathletic.
So there's unathletic, and then there's breathtakingly unathletic.
And that's where we fell in today?
Yeah, I've played sports my whole life. I wouldn't consider myself overly athletic. I wouldn't say oh wow, look at him out there in his agility. But there's tiers to this. Obviously, professional athletes, the top, and then there's all of us regular people that fall in line somewhere down, down, down. You are somebody who, if I were to get a little rude here...
You can be rude. That's fine.
What I saw was the kid that you put in the 8th inning because he has to get some time. The kid at the basketball game who goes in blowouts and everyone roots for sort of mockingly, but, the bench warmer. The person you're oh, isn't that cute? He got to get a shot off in a 20-point blowout.
Now, this might say more about where I went to school, but I was not that kid.
Which is either you've lost it or Denmark was one of the worst programs in the country. We
were actually pretty good at hoops, but that's
Joshy just described Rudy though too, so you can get that.
That's true. Multi-million-dollar making movie. So that's a great point by Hunter.
Rudy is a 5-star athlete. So he's a first-round draft pick in comparison.
That's true. That's true. All right, Joshy. I'm now realizing I'm going to flip this for you so you're able to watch some of the footage.
Yeah.
I want to get into some of my combine footage, and we can break it down. Joshy was there. Brad Nortman was there. I'm wearing, as we mentioned, Brad Nortman's this was legitimately his top from the NFL Combine in 2012. Brad obviously drafted in the 2012 draft to the Carolina Panthers, spent 6 years in the NFL, had a 4-year career at Wisconsin, and he was nice enough to let me borrow his top from the 2012 NFL Combine. I did not do the shirt justice. I mean, we can just go ahead and rip that Band-Aid off. I mean, Brad was there for most of it. And he was so unbelievable. He was trying to coach me, but he couldn't get through without.
He was trying to be nice.
Yeah, he couldn't get through without getting either both frustrated or laughing hysterically. So let's start with the jumps. The very first exercise I did was the broad jump, which is essentially 2 feet flat on the line. You swing your body. It's what I did on Monday's show, if you saw.
Yeah.
I practiced that one. That's the only one I practiced, frankly.
Yeah.
And my expectations were like, if I get 4 or 5 feet, I'll be happy. Because I didn't think I'd get a whole lot more than 4 or 5 feet. So the broad jump was up first. Here is how it went for me a couple hours ago at the Mr. Irrelevant Combine.
I don't like this.
You got to stay there. That's pretty hard.
Like right here.
Yeah.
6'2"?
We're going to do one more.
Yeah. We'll let you do 2.
We'll let you do 2. But you need to keep your feet planted.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking we'll give them 6'1", around 73.
That's good. That's good. That's better than I thought.
Not exactly the way we drew it up.
So 6'1".
I gave you 7'1" in my right, Hunter? I gave that wrong. I gave him another extra foot.
Yeah. We have some incorrect data then. So
Oh no.
I might have teased to Wildy and Tausch some of your RAS scores, and that might be a little off. I might have to go back to the lab.
So what you're saying, and I do not know the RAS score. That has been keeping away from me, which is the right call. I want to react live. What you're saying is it is inflated.
Yes, as much as you could inflate it. Watching that, if we were to do a tape breakdown here, with the length of your legs and body as a 6'3" person,
Yeah.
does that not feel like watching that you got probably the least amount out of your gifts? Because right now, height and long and skinny are an advantage.
Yeah, Victor Wembanyama.
Are an advantage to a broad jump and a vertical jump. Watching that back,
Not an advantage.
no. It seemed like that was probably, from the physical aspect, your best event.
Yeah.
In terms of, like, you looked like you were doing the right thing the most.
But now again, not a high bar.
Right.
Not a high bar at all. As it just went south from here. Right. So broad jump, I finished about 6'1", 7'1" in our data, though. So good for me. Nicely done by Joshy. Attention to detail. I was happy with this. Like, I viewed this as a good start. Now, little peek behind the curtain. This is the one event my girlfriend was in the room for.
Yeah. She laughed at it.
She walked over. I told her, you got to go. You can't watch this. She stayed, and it was the event, as Joshy just pointed out, I was probably the best at.
So,
Now,
for context, 6'1" is an all-time low score in terms of broad
shut
jump.
up.
Orlando Brown, who famously, incredible football player,
Yes, but bad broad jumper.
had a broad jump of 6'10". Now he is
Oh,
like 6'8", 350 pounds.
This is bad already.
no. Okay, I got to be honest. This was the one event where I was like, ooh, I might not be the worst ever.
Yeah, no, you were close to worst ever. It's hard to find like a list of the all-time worst and lowest combine, but in terms of broad jump, we've got guys that are pushing 4 bills, putting up better scores.
Now, Strouf, I'm going to give you this chance right now. Do you want to stop? Knowing that now, that your best event was still the all-time worst. We can stop. No one else has to see it. No one else has to know.
It's true.
So, worst broad jump ever is by a guy in Stefan Wheeler from 2006, and his was 74 inches,
Oh, I was close to that, though.
but under.
By
So,
a few inches.
In terms of the NFL Combine, if we literally take my data and say, let's apply this to the NFL Combine, I would be the worst broad jumper in history.
The worst person to ever compete in the broad jump category.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah,
I was close, though. Because I was what? I mean, I was 73 inches, wasn't I?
No.
That's 6'1".
Yeah, so 74, yeah.
Oh.
But
I
also
missed it
you
by an
have to
inch.
remember, if we watched the video, You didn't leave your feet there, so we were guesstimating.
Okay, that's true.
So
I might have been given an inch or two.
if I were to guess, we probably were I ruled more generous when I was watching it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so I mentioned before I was a basketball player. Now you mentioned too, Josh. I'm 6'3". Like I'm a tall dude. I've never dunked a basketball. I've never even really gotten that close. I have always struggled jumping upwards. Now I'm going to give you a sob story, so you all stop making fun of me. Before my heart surgery I had when I was 3 years old, I couldn't jump. It was impossible for me. That's how they knew something was wrong with me. And so jumping has always been tough for me. Vertical jump is up next, and we had to try something here. So we didn't really have like one of those things they use at the combine where you swat the bars. So what we did was I reached as high as I could on a wall and slapped a sticky note there. And then I was jumping and slapping sticky notes above it, and then we would measure the difference. Brad Nortman, you will see in the video, measured the difference. So here are my first 2 attempts of the 3 attempts I did for the vertical jump. The second attempt was my best one and was ultimately my final score. So here's the vertical jump from my combine earlier today.
Okay. I wouldn't go that low. It's supposed to be explosive.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I think you can beat that.
That's not good. So I'm seeing, is that about 15 inches?
Just under 15. So we'll put them at 14 3/4.
Okay. Okay.
Look at you getting specific.
Yeah. You got more than that.
I think so. Oh, yeah.
There we go.
There we go. We're seeing improvement here. An athlete will improve. That's what we're seeing.
Not bad.
We're seeing 17 and a half. Maybe.
So 17 and a half is roughly what it was. We just popped it in at 17.
Yeah.
We call it 17 flat. That's not even a foot and a half off the ground.
Nope. And if you rewatch there, so at first you squatted into a catcher stance.
Yeah, I popped my knees. My knees aren't great.
And then
if you can't tell that already.
subsequently, you basically got no bend. You went from standing to an inch of sink. So Brad correctly told you don't need to go that low. You're going to lose some explosiveness there. But if you watch other people do it, they generally go down a solid 4 to 6 inches and then explode up. You kind of just
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't impressive. So hold on. So we're through the 2 jumps, and Will Summers and Hunter Vaughn were not here. Hunter was in Madison. Will was the savior today. He was able to jump in for Joshy, so Joshy was able to come on the road with me. So, Will, I will start with you. You have not seen either of these workouts yet. What do you make of the first 2 jumps in the first 2 events of my combine?
You look like a newborn baby deer coming out of the womb. Is the best way I could put it. Your technique on the vertical jump, you're supposed to like lock out your knees first and go up and then down quickly.
How do you guys know this? Like,
it's just like
legitimate question. How do you know
it's
this?
just like physics.
Physics. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fair enough answer. Okay. Hunter, what do you make of the first 2 events so far?
I'm going to be honest. Normally, I can handle the embarrassment that comes with working with you. This one's tough. Like, you might be the least athletic host in ESPN Wisconsin, and it's painful that I work with you and that you're my friend. Like, this is tough, man.
Reevaluation.
I might be the least athletic host at ESPN Wisconsin.
Worst vertical jump of all time came from Josu Matisse.
Please tell me it's less than 17.
17 and a half inches.
Oh, I tied it.
See, but that's with our inexact science. So you have very least, and if we are to be as generous as possible, got 17.5. Now, our measurements weren't that exact because it was difficult to use the tape measure and all of that. I still think it counts for worst vertical jump of all time. So you're 2 for 2 in terms of worst performances the Combine's ever seen.
Wow. Okay, 2 for 2 on the worst ever. And I think it's legitimately only downhill from here. This is where this is where it gets really, really, really bad. Up next is the 3-cone, which this is the one, if you haven't seen it already, buckle up, because we're going to watch it multiple times. It's watching it back, I didn't realize how unathletic I was until I saw the footage of this. It is embarrassing, probably doesn't even do it justice. I'm super embarrassed by this, to be honest with you. It's fine. I knew what I was getting myself into. I can wear it. This is really bad. I mean, Brad, I felt bad for Brad Nortman, who, by the way, 6 years in the NFL, like a legitimate athlete. He was trying to coach me as hard as he could. And it just didn't really go that far. So let's just roll the tape.
It wasn't taking the information.
No, it wasn't clicking for whatever reason. So let's just roll the tape. This is the first attempt of the 3-cone. It is not the actual score, but it is the video that's been making the rounds on social media.
Oh, yeah, it was so bad that we said, well,
do it again.
You can't do that.
So I ended up shaving about a second or so off of the time you're about to see. But this is the 3-cone drill, and it is really bad. Just buckle in.
You run so high.
Now, in my defense, it is incredibly hard to focus when you hear Josh DiMaggio cackling at the top of his lungs in the background. It's really hard to move fast. Now, again, I'm not athletic. I'm running way too straight up. There's no give in my knees. I mean, there's about 100 technical things that are incorrect here. So, Joshy, I throw to you as you watch this live and as you watch it back. It's even worse than I remember. I mean, this is bad.
Yeah. So I was pretty serious about the clock. I wanted to get as accurate of readings here for our RS scores. So I could see out of the corner of my eyes, but I wasn't focusing on every move you made. You seem to not understand physics. It became clear that you've never been in football because being low is integral to the sport. When you watch NFL players do this, they're like hunched over basically because they're lunging for each cone and getting low and making quick turns. The pitter patter of your feet is something that I don't know how in the moment you didn't feel like, well, this can't be right. So bad. It was so bad that the resounding sentiment from everyone has been is he being funny?
Yeah.
My Mussolini and my mother have seen it.
Oh, your mom too?
And thought you were doing jokes. You were trying to be a funny guy.
That's so, like, this is why I'm embarrassed. Because people aren't taking me seriously.
Right. You managed to perform so poorly that people are like, he's got to be joking.
I just want to get to some of the reaction on this video specifically. So, recently coming in while we've been on the air, 2 high school head coaches in the state of Wisconsin have weighed in. Me and Hunter's buddy, Andrew Selgrad, who's now the head coach at Ripon, formerly at Columbus, literally just said, you are spring-loaded. And that's a joke, right? I mean, and then our guy, Jason Becker, who's the head coach at Stoughton High School, just south of Madison, great dude as well, says impeccable form from Alex Strouf on display. And so, like, I am now a joke in the high school head coach community.
Yeah, no, you are, and these moments don't happen often. You've crossed over into where were you when you saw Alex Strouf run the 3-cone drill.
Do you think it's that bad?
Yes. Yes, people are going to remember. This is going to follow you for the rest of your career.
Really? You think so? Okay, that's great. That makes me feel awesome. Yeah.
This is. We've lost contain. We've broken contain here. This is reaching outside of just the ESPN Wisconsin bubble and its fans. People are, have you gotten a load of this? This is going to be talked on every program across ESPN Wisconsin. You might make the local news with how boring your performance has been. People are going to. There's group chats. Email chains.
Have you gotten a load of this, bozo? You're totally right.
You've impressed people, jaw dropped them, where there's group chats going, can you get a load of this? This is unbelievable performance.
All right, so some more reaction that rolled in. The Green Bay Blizzard, the indoor football league team.
Yeah.
The team account replied.
This is what I'm saying, lose and contain.
The literal team account replied and said, dang, our tryouts were last Saturday.
Yeah.
I am getting made fun of to no level. Some of the other reaction I enjoyed. Our buddy Pratik chimed in and said, please say a prayer for our friend Alex Strouf. Nothing's wrong with him. He just runs like a mall walker.
Yeah.
Somebody, I think this might have been a legitimate question, said, is this what our
You run so high.
I mean, it's just nonstop. So
I've been thinking of a way to phrase this the most delicately as possible. you look like you have a medical condition. You look like either you have a hip problem, a knee problem,
or all of the above.
A back problem. Like, it looks like you go
You
to
run so
once
high.
weekly to a physical therapist to try to stretch you out.
I mean,
That's the best
You
way
run
I can,
so
like,
high.
You look like you need doctors.
and props to Hunter, who's just doing a phenomenal job on the video stream. He is just playing this on a loop, this 3-cone drill.
What are your arms doing? Why are they doing that?
My
You
my
run
stepbrother
so
commented
high.
just moments ago. Some things never change. So just so you know, this has been going on forever.
I could watch him round that coin. Nobody's ever done that in the history of the world. It takes you like 8 steps to.
So here's the thing. Pitter-pattering, I believe, is the term that's been
You
thrown
run
around.
so high.
He's got
One
quick
of my
feet.
best friends weighs in.
You run
Best
so
friend's
high.
Kyle weighs in. I've known Strouf for over 5 years. I've never seen him run ever. I guess this is why.
Yeah, yeah, no, you're in the territory of needing to avoid cases where you're running at all times right now, because people are going to talk about it. It's like an oddity. Come see the man with 14 fingers. Come watch Alex Strouf run a 3-cone.
It's as bad as it gets. I mean, this was, Josh, you would agree this was my worst drill.
Yes.
Final time here for the 3-cone.
We had to adjust I mixed up some of the scores. So the final one I sent here at the end, the
9.67.
Yes.
Yeah, which was correct.
Which you dropped a full second.
You
from that
run
one we've
so
seen
high.
to the second.
Yeah, I shaved a second, so I got a little bit lower, not much lower.
No.
I couldn't figure out
run
the
so
top part of this,
high.
so it's like an L shape for those of you listening on the audio side. So you go from starting point 5 yards out, then you take a
You
come
run
back,
so
you go
high.
around it, you take a right, and you go 5 yards. But you have to weave. Yes, you have to weave between the
You
cones.
You run so high.
Just to weave between the cones, which I really struggled with. And it's not like I had to move far. I had to move 3 inches to the right. But for whatever, in my head, I couldn't get over that mental hurdle.
The best part is people are going to have the opportunity today and tomorrow, I think even. Maybe it starts tomorrow. You're going to be able to watch guys do this drill, and there'll be clips you'll see on it, because somebody's going to run it extremely. Like,
I got to be honest, I'm not watching a lick of the combine
People-
because of today.
people, like, they're so low, they're using their hand to pivot, and they're swinging around it. Like, it's as if you didn't know you were timed. Despite... Like, it looks like you're here. I'm just going to run through this quickly to get an idea of what I need to do.
Now, that was the worst. Do you have the worst score ever by chance for the 3-cone?
I've been struggling to find that one.
Okay.
But I mean, guys run that in under 6 seconds. So you're 3 full seconds.
Yeah, I mean,
There's 10 total yards you need to cover at the longest point.
twice. You need to cover twice.
10 yards, you can complete for, like, Giannis can do that in 2 strides.
Yeah, I can't.
Dree Archer once, who's an old school, I believe he went to maybe Toledo. He covered like 50 yards, and he's like 5'9" in like 6 strides because his body was propelling him. You weren't like reaching for the cones. You weren't like lunging. It was just.
It was like he was
I'm just gonna get
afraid of
around
the
these
cones.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, by the way, the best part of this is those weren't cones.
No.
Those were like styrofoam plastic coffee cups. Because we
even
couldn't
less
find cones.
scary.
Correct, much less scary. I mean, if I
Easier
stepped
to
on
get
one, I'm
around,
not
too.
rolling my ankle. They're getting crushed, right? So, I don't know what happened there. I almost want that one back, but what do you do?
832 I found is the worst in 2018. So
I was a full second and a half slower
right,
than that.
and,
Yeah.
and I mean these times are all really close. Like there's the ranges for like a corner or wide receiver to a defensive lineman is like a second apart, and you're a solid 3 seconds longer than those guys.
I got to give our buddy Will Summers credit. He has not stopped smiling for the last 25 minutes. And Will, you played college baseball for a few years, so you're athletic. I mean, obviously much more athletic than me, not that that's a high bar. Are you surprised by my lack of athleticism?
I am, because I thought, like, watching you walk and, like, the way you move, I thought you were way more coordinated. And to be honest, the first 2 jumps weren't horrendous, but once, like, the 3 cone drill, I just couldn't believe you moved like it looks like you're running it for accuracy.
Yeah.
Like, trying to just
he looks like
way.
he looks like he got his legs removed, and that's the first time he's trying to run with them. You had
Josh.
You had full leg transplants. They gave you new ones, and then said, "All right, run the 3 cone."
Hunter's having more fun right now than he's had in a long time. Just witnessing what is an absolute meltdown of an attempt. Yeah, it's bad.
This is like, Strouf, you have 365 days. You've got to try and do this again next year and improve on this.
Oh, I will. Yeah,
Like,
I think I could beat every score next year. Maybe not the vert, but I think the rest of them I can.
Well,
Yeah,
and honestly, I think you could get in the weight room and at least do a rep of the bench press. I believe you could get in there and do that within a year.
I can't put up 225. Maybe in a year.
I think if you worked out consistently,
I'd have to work out a lot, but yeah, I mean, it would take me some time to get there. But yeah, I mean, today I'm absolutely not throwing up 225. So we just skipped that one. If you missed that information, we confirmed that before we even started this process that I wasn't benching.
that one's high injury possibilities there.
Yeah, and we don't want that.
No,
not when we're on the clock. All right, so this is the big one. Now, Hunter, I want to pull you in here because I got a text last night. I don't know, about 9 p.m. And it said, "Hey, Strouf, just so you know, we've got bets going around the ESPN Madison office about your 40 time."
Yeah.
So did you participate in said bet?
I didn't, but I may have been the one that set the line.
What was the line?
Sub 6.
Okay. Sub 6. I mean, that seems fair to me, right? Like sub 6. I'm 6'3". I've got long strides. I ran cross country, so I'm not like a speed runner, but I know how to run form. At least we thought, right? So sub 6 seems fair to me. What was the consensus around the ESPN Madison offices? Were people believing in me or no?
Yeah, Pablo Iglesias believed in you. I think Alex G did as well. Like, there were people who were like, yeah, Strouf can do that. Like, he can get himself under 6. And I was like, I don't think he can. I'll be honest. I didn't put money on it, but I was a definite doubter.
So this is the fun thing of throwing this together in 48 hours is we didn't know where to run it. I wanted to run it. I was going to drive to, obviously Marquette University is not far from us. They have a field maybe a mile away. So my thought was to drive there. It's a marked field, at least 10-yard increments, so we would know what 40 yards is. It was raining this morning. Seemed very unsafe. Seemed like a bad idea for me. And to use Josh's term from earlier, seems like a lot of work.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So Joshy did not want to get in the car. That was a deal breaker for Josh, and I needed him there.
And let's be honest. By the time we were trying to figure out when the 40 was going to happen, I'd seen you do everything to that point. So I was thinking maybe even we give him 30 yards if that's all we can work with, and just kind of extrapolate from there because you wouldn't have run a 30-yard dash in under 5 seconds.
No,
not a prayer.
Probably not. I mean, I only ran it once. You guys were like, you can run it 3 times if you want. I said, no, we're done.
Yeah.
That was the last workout. So
You're
what we
running out
did,
of gas.
I got to give huge ups to our guy, Dylan Brixis, who is a marketing a marketing teammate of ours, oversees our events. So he has a lot of tools in his toolbox, man. Didn't know this one existed. He had a literal foot counter. So it was like this little stick on 2 wheels that would tell you how many feet something is.
You see construction workers and surveyors using this
right.
to pace out.
I'm not sure what an ESPN radio marketing guy is using it for, but
I don't know why we've acquired that, but I've known we've had that for a long time.
So luckily, he brought it with him. And he said, we will find a space in the 3rd Street Market Hall or in the Avenue downtown that you can run 40 yards confidently. So there was a hallway just outside of the 3rd Street Market Hall that leads to, that would be what, 2nd Street?
Yes.
Down here in downtown Milwaukee. And it's a huge stretch, right? There's like an event center right there. There's a Walgreens, and it's a long hallway. It was about 60 yards, so it gave us plenty of space. So Dylan found the middle stretch that would give me about 10 yards to slow down and 40 yards to run in. Now, I mentioned there was an event space to my right. There were people touring this. I don't know if it was like a corporate event, if it was a wedding, whatever. But then they see this scrawny-ass tall dude wearing a cutoff that is obviously too big for him. You get down in a 3-point stance, and they start staring at me. So the nerves set in. Hunter, I don't know what you all have in terms of video for this. Do you have just the one from the finish line, or do you have the one from the starting line as well?
I'm going to be honest. I don't know. I just have, there was one video marked 40. I am watching these all completely fresh. So.
Okay, gotcha. Well, good for you. I actually appreciate that. This is from the finish line, so you're not really going to see me. But the fun part about this is I'm mic'd up, so you will hear when I start moving. And I make some noises I wasn't quite sure I could make. So here is the finish line point of view of the 40-yard dash, the final exercise in the Mr. Irrelevant Combine.
How bad is it? 6 to 8. I told you it'd be over 6. I told you it'd be over 6.
Almost 6'3". 6.28 is the unofficial time according to Joshie DiMaggio. And again, I think Josh was pretty generous here. Mm-hmm. I think he needed to see a full-blown movement before he started that timer.
Yes.
So it might have actually been worse.
You weren't laser timed.
I was not. And to be honest with you, when I got towards the finish line, I thought I was moving. And watching that back, I look like I'm speed walking. I'm so confused on how my body works.
I was trying to stay, like I said, with the 3-cone, not really watching, so I could make sure I could have correct timing. At one point, I looked up, like, is he going to get here? What's going on? I thought maybe you had stopped, and, like, maybe you're going to rerun it again. Also, so the screen in front of me went away. I wasn't able to see it. Listening to it, it sounds like you're running with a limp. If we just listen to the audio.
Run it back, Hunter. Let's listen to that again. It does.
It sounds like you're carrying a leg.
Do you think I'm injured and don't know it? Is that a possibility here? Is there a possibility that maybe I have a bad hip or a bad knee and I don't feel it?
Is this where we find out you have some arthritic or I don't like? Now, I'm not going to have a great 40 time, but you have an advantage of being 6'3" with long, lanky strides. This is supposed to be your event, and you put together the worst time ever. The worst 30 time ever recorded back in 2013. Mark Jackson, offensive lineman from
30 or 40?
40 from Glenville State, 5'6".
Nobody's ever been over 6?
Never.
That shocks me.
Never in the history. We've got 300, 400-pound linemen all cruising past you. They are chasing you down.
I mean, you know what's funny is like Xavier Worthy, who set the record last year for the fastest recorded 40 time at the NFL Combine, 4.21.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
He could have run 65 yards faster than I could have run 40.
Yes.
And I understand he is incredibly fast and probably not a very fair comparison, right? That's like saying I'm going to run the 100-meter against Usain Bolt. But legitimately, if Xavier Worthy and I started at the same point and he kept running, he might be in the end zone by the time I reach the 40-yard line. It's that bad. I mean, that is pathetic. I was really, people were talking me into it because I kept saying, I'm going to be over 6. I was pretty confident I was going to run over 6. I'm not fast. And I'm very bad at the starting point. Like, that's always been my struggle. I was pretty confident I'd be over 6. I thought this would about be what my time was. I wasn't surprised by the time. Watching it back, though, you work out, right? So let's say you go to the gym, you're doing bench presses, you're running on the treadmill. You do that, but you don't see yourself do it. Uh-huh. It is a whole different experience when you are watching it from the eye of somebody else.
Yeah, no. And, if you're a golfer, you spend a lot of time watching people film for you to see what you're doing wrong. This is important for you. You can break the tape here. I also have a comparison for you. Do you remember Don Terry Poe?
I do.
First round draft pick, nose tackle.
Yeah.
Weighed in at 346 pounds at the combine.
Oh, boy.
Ran a 4.95. I mean, it's like you have lead in your shoes.
These are brand new shoes. I hadn't broken them in yet. That was the first time I wore them.
That was the problem.
Honestly, I think honestly,
I'm not making excuses.
The
I'm just
fact
pointing
that
that
they're
out.
not broken in might be an advantage. Maybe it's helping your foot spring back up there.
Yeah, it might be. It honestly might be. So that's that. All right, some of the other measurables we need for the relative athletic score, which is ultimately why we're here. We are calculating my RAS score as a punter or a special teamser. I'm 6'3", 75 inches. I weigh about 175 pounds, and my hand size is 8 inches.
One more for you.
Yeah,
BJ Raji. We remember him.
sure do.
5'1", smoked you.
Full second.
Full second. And in the 40-yard dash, that's an eternity. An eternity.
PJ Raji, who was literally well known for doing a dance because he was fat.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Yes.
And all due respect, he was a great player.
Yes.
But like he did that dance to make his belly
Super Bowl
move.
champion. And it was funny because the 350-pound nose tackle returned an interception for a touchdown. That was the whole bit about it.
Yeah. Not great. Okay, 8 inches on my hand measurements, 6'3", 175 pounds. So Hunter has plugged all this information in, but before we get to my RAS score, I want to look at a couple different versions of Brad Nortman's, who had real measurables, laser timing at the NFL Combine back in 2012. He sent this information over to Hunter and I, and Hunter went ahead and calculated it. Let's just see it as a specialist, Hunter. I want to see what his actual RAS score is as a punter, because Brad is an athletic dude. Like, he's really
middle
athletic.
linebacker.
He was a middle linebacker in high school all-conference. He was a tight end in high school all-conference. And then ultimately punting is what got him to the league and got him a college scholarship. But he was a really athletic dude, and still is, to be real frank. So his measurements in the punting category, what does his RAS score pop out at?
This blew me away. This is incredible. He had a 9.49. Like,
Good
he's
for Brad.
listed as elite for explosion and agility.
Yes. One of
This
the
is
all-time
incredible.
athletic punters.
I mean, Brad is an athlete. 9.49. Okay, so I had a pretty good coach today. I mean, that's one of the best.
Yeah.
I mean, so Joshy, for those that are unaware of the RAS score, can you explain how it is scored? So a 9.49 is against other people.
Right. So what you do is you take the position. That's why the specialist here is important for Brad. And then you take your height and weight, and you get a score based on basically density. So the bigger and heavier you are, it adjusts for that. So if a wide receiver is 6'5", 220, and his results are similar to a guy who's 6'1", 180, the bigger guy is going to be better. So it compensates for size in there, because obviously the bigger guy moving that fast would be impressive. Even if his 40 time is 0.2 less, it's much more impressive with all that extra weight and all that extra size. So it's combining all of those factors to give you a score. And what the score is basically giving you is, you know, like when you take a percentage test, like you're in the 94th percentile. Mm-hmm. That's what Brad would be. He's in the 95th percentile of all specialists ever in the NFL that have grades, tests that can be graded.
So Hunter did a little thing that I thought was fair. So as you mentioned, Brad played linebacker in high school. So he actually also popped in his information and put it at linebacker just to see where Brad would rank among linebackers. And Hunter, that score was what?
He had a 6.02. So
okay,
kind of average. So Kyle Wallace lost to Brad Nortman, average linebacker, in the playoffs for high school football.
Well, the NFL linebacker. He's still like he's still in the top 50%, which is impressive.
Think about Quay Walker or Edgerrin Cooper and sort of their testing. We can all say Brad isn't those guys.
Well, no, and right. It's not like he had the regiment of a linebacker for 4 years at Wisconsin.
Right.
But I just thought it'd be interesting to see how that number changes and evolves. Same stats from the combine, but different position.
Yeah.
All right, it is the time we have all been waiting for. It is time to reveal my RAS score as a punter, as a special teamser. Before we do that, though, I want to go around the horn. Does anybody know it besides Hunter?
I don't know it specifically. I was tinkering around, but I didn't get an exact score.
Okay, so I want to go to Will Summers then first. Will, any guesses on what my RAS score comes in as a punter? I mean, low is going to be the answer.
3.2? I don't know if that's generous. That might be too generous.
That might be too generous.
I also don't know the field of punters that you're competing against, but
0.2. I think it's lower than that, to be honest. I'm gonna go sub 2. I'm gonna go 1.8.
Based on what I've seen here, and we said you've at least 4 of the things you've done are the worst in recorded history of the combine.
Yes,
I
that's
think
correct.
you are going to be the .01. So the worst, least athletic person to ever compete in the combine. Based on your size and like what your athleticism should say you are and what your time should be, you are going to be the worst ever.
Hunter, I know you know the store, so I'm going to give you the opportunity to rip off the Band-Aid. What did it come in at?
It was even worse than Josh thought. As a punter kicker,
Oh, no.
pure 0. His best
I think
was me guessing his 10-yard split, and it came at a 3.32. His weight was a 0.68 at 175 pounds. Everything, like, your 20 split, again, me guessing, 0.28. Everything else was zeros. Literally everything else. They're like, nope, I couldn't even register it. I thought I did it wrong.
That is so embarrassing.
So I don't know if our height there is correct because they usually put up 4 numbers for that. I don't know exactly how they measure that. But what that's telling us, the 0.00, that means you're the worst. There is nobody who's ever done it that's ever been less athletic.
So the number, I did have the height incorrect on it.
wrecked.
It literally didn't change it. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm wrecked.
and just so we can do this, I did it for a
worst
few.
ever?
Yep. I did this for a few other positions because I was just cackling here at the office while I did this. Strouf as a quarterback, not any better. Pure zeros.
Yeah.
And then for defensive tackle, your best score, 0.01.
0.01 as a D tackle.
Because I had to guess your
So-
10-yard split, so you had a 7.27, which I have no idea if that's even correct. I highly doubt you covered 10 yards in 1.75
No way.
seconds.
Man, no
your,
shot.
No.
your 40 was a 0.01. So I was generous to you just so you could actually get a score.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, your broad jump is...
Look, guys, I told you this would be bad. It's worse than I even ever imagined. I didn't think I'd get 0.00. I thought I'd get like maybe 1.0.
Yeah. I mean, when I said people were questioning it, they were questioning it because it was so bad. You did worse.
Again, I say, I thought it was bad. I didn't think it was this bad.
Yeah, worst of all time. You're the woat.
I'm literally the woat. So what you're
why you're
telling
Mr.
me is my
Irrelevant.
performance today will not literally get me picked as Mr. Irrelevant in Green Bay in a couple of months.
No, you wouldn't even get a call for UDFA. The blizzard would laugh you out of the gym.
They already did, Joshy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Head coach Jason Becker
Wow,
of Stoughton, I don't even think would let you, like, he'd be like, you can be our water boy. Like, that's probably the best
I don't
you
know.
get
Could
here,
he get
pal.
out for timeouts in time if he's running in with the...
Oh, true. Never mind. They'll put you up in the film, up in the booth.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm flabbergasted. I'm at a loss for words. I knew it was bad. I didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah. You run like somebody who has fresh new hips.
That's too bad. That's too bad. All right. Well, that is
That's
the
too
first
bad.
ever Mr. Irrelevant Combine broken down. We will have some more exclusive footage we didn't show today on some of the ESPN Madison and ESPN Milwaukee YouTube channels. You can also check my social media, Instagram at Strouf ESPN, Twitter at Alex_Strouf for some of the stuff the rest of the week.
I truthfully thought this was going to be pretty lame because you would do better than maybe we thought. There'd be some scores where people went, oh, that wasn't bad.
You overestimated my athleticism.
You under-delivered in historic fashion. You under-delivered to a degree that is hard to believe. That's what made it great. And the impressive part is you can show incredible improvement, and you would still be in the bottom
historically
10.
bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like going up from here, you could get a 1 is a goal for you next year. for the specialist.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. So, I mean, look at this. We're already committing to doing this again. I mean, because it was so awful, so horrendous, so breathtakingly bad that everybody's like, he has to be able to do better than that. It is physically impossible to be as bad as I was today, and I was that bad.
Next year, I think we need to add a twist. There's a lot of people around this company. There has to be somebody with like a 10-year-old that can compete at the same level, and we can run them through.
You know what I'd actually like to do? Is you said earlier, I'm by far the most unathletic person at ESPN Wisconsin. I think there's one more unathletic than me.
Who's that?
Jesse Nelson, producer of Wilde and Tausch. I think I could beat him.
What do you think about Wooly?
Wooly's athletic. He
Is
works
he?
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he just sounds like a dork?
Yeah. He played football in high school. Like, yeah.
Okay.
He was an offensive lineman, actually.
Yeah.
Jeez.
He did boxing club. Like, yeah. Wooly, I think, would shock
he's
people
athletic.
with how good he would be.
I agree with Hunter on that, actually. Jesse is the one where I think I could peg it and say, I think I got him beat.
If we adjusted like the bench press, then I feel like I would do pretty well. But that 225 would be tough.
It's kind of amazing that an hour removed from this, I'm already going, yeah, but there's people worse than me.
I don't know.
We just revealed how historically bad I was today.
Yeah.
I love your
and the
unbridled
thing that makes
confidence.
the thing that makes me side with Jesse is I've seen him swing a golf club and I've seen him bowl, and he generally understands the mechanics and the motions required. Your display was, this guy is like a baby deer. It's like he doesn't. It's like the concept of running, stopping, and turning. Like we gotta start there.
Yeah.
Like
we do.
we got to get in the lab and you just have you run 5 yards back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, because it didn't seem to click.
It didn't. I mean, it just didn't. The coaching Brad gave me was good.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it. And it's unfortunate, right? Like we pondered the idea of this on Monday. We executed it today, which I'm proud of us, by the way. That's a quick turnaround by us. Pat on the back to us on that. But yeah, I mean, it was significantly worse than I expected. Despite me knowing how unathletic I am and uncoordinated I am, I thought it'd be bad. 0.00.
You run so high.
Bad was not in the cards for me. Enjoy the final time you'll view the 3-cone on Mr. Relevant.
No, this is getting played
You
forever.
run so high.
This might become our new show open.
Got a little video show open, just you running.
You run so
Yeah, just
high.
make a quick cut up of all of his.
Final thoughts on the first ever Mr. Irrelevant Combine, Josh DiMaggio.
I don't know how you under-delivered in historic fashion. I didn't think somebody your age could look that old and decrepit. I look forward to next year.
Good shots. Will Summers.
Can't get any worse.
Until I do. Hunter Vaughn.
I still feel bad for you. Like, this was so bad that I actually have some pity for you. I was excited to rip on you this whole time, but I'm starting to feel bad because you were that historically awful.
Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. Hey, I'm going to go to sleep tonight, and I'm not going to think about this.
No, because you got the numbies. Got the clickies. People watch it.
I might think about this because my Twitter has been on fire for the last 2 hours, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, yeah.
My final thought is, sorry. Hope you enjoyed. I mean, I'm a damn fool, right? Like, we know this. If you've listened to the show before, I'm always very upfront. I'm kind of an idiot. I'm unathletic. Hunter just mentioned my unrivaled confidence, unbridled confidence. I still have it.
Now, this is the same person. You have to contextualize for me and Hunter. We've watched you swing a golf club 9 times and miss the golf ball, and you ran past that in terms of lack of athleticism. You sprinted past it in 6.28 seconds. You somehow... You already have done one thing I've never seen before.
Which is?
Swing at a golf ball 9 times. That's not moving.
And now I've done multiple things you've never seen before.
Yes.
And Hunter, well done, has the video of me missing the golf ball 8 times.
And I can't play the audio because we'd get in trouble.
Yeah, no, I say the F word multiple times. I was very frustrated.
Yeah. Now, I've swung and missed at a golf ball. That happens.
We've all done
golfers.
All done.
Yeah.
I've always gotten it the second time around. I was using ladies' clubs at the WTMJ.
What a humble brag this is.
And I was making contact at least.
Yeah. I think I've gotten a little bit better at golf since then. I don't know if I could do that
Well,
again.
it's much like your RAS score. Hard to be worse.
Only up from here. Right. My final thought on the combine today is actually this. I didn't look as bad in this shirt as I thought I would. Like I thought it wouldn't be tight. I actually don't look horrible.
Don't flex like that. There's nothing there, pal.
That's the true upset today.
Yeah. You look like you're a guy who does a bunch of 12-ounce curls with brewskis.
Yeah. All right. Well, that does it for that. Hope you enjoyed. Okay, let's mix what we learned with the Jaire conversation. So Jaire Alexander, it was reported today by Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network that the Packers have had trade conversations centered around star cornerback Jaire Alexander and are open to moving him for the right price. Jaire, obviously still only 28 years old, two-time Pro Bowler, is considered to be the most decorated cornerback available. That according to Ian Rappaport of NFL Network. And what I learned to mix these two together is the fact that the Packers are actually looking to get something for him, which I didn't think they would, to be honest with you. I thought they were just going to wipe their hands clean of the Jaire situation, say sayonara, and designate him as a post-June 1st cut to save whatever it was, $16 million or somewhere in that wheelhouse. To hear that they are looking to shop him intrigues me for a couple different reasons. Number one, it means there's a team or several interested, which I didn't think there would be in terms of a trade, right? I would not be surprised if Jaire gets cut and he signs immediately. That wouldn't surprise me. He's still a really talented cornerback, but it's been a big if question with Jaire, right? If he's healthy, if he's on the field, if he's available to play. And it's been all too many ifs the last several years. To hear that the Packers are actually intrigued at the idea of receiving some compensation in exchange for his services was a little bit of a surprise to me. But it's not shocking because we don't anticipate Jaire Alexander to be a Packer in 2025. But it is surprising that they're not just going to go, we've had enough. Clean their hands, call it a day.
I think this is going to result in what we've been saying about Devontae, what Deebo Samuel, Cooper Kupp all fall into, of these players have or had some substantial value throughout their career. Now that value has declined greatly. I think anything more than a late-round pick for Jaire would be extremely surprising. I think if you were trying to make a move and include player for player and then some draft picks from the Packers, that would be a route because there is value in taking on money and bringing in talent and bringing in names because when Jaire plays, he's still very, very good. It's just and what is it, the past 3 seasons, he's played less than 50% of the games available for him to be played. So I think this still ends in Jaire Alexander getting cut when the league year does end up starting or within the time of that, whatever it is in his contract. It's unimportant to me because who is going to give up a considerable asset for a guy who probably is overpaid for the amount he's out there competing and for a guy who's frankly been a malcontent before? Like that, all that stuff matters to people. I think Jaire is going to end up on a team in 2025 and probably have flashes of brilliance, but I think his whatever contract he gets is going to be heavily based on playing time.
Yeah.
And heavily based on, like, does he end up as a Pro Bowler? Does he end up like sort of what we saw happen with Jordan Love? It's all tiered into how much did you play and how good were you at playing. It's harder from the cornerback because QB, you could just do counting stats. Mm-hmm. But his is going to be, I'm sure it's going to be, there's a bonus for playing 12 games, 14, 16, like all the way up. And then are you excellent? Are you Pro Bowler, All Pro, all that sort of stuff? Because no one in their right mind could make an investment in him like the Packers did originally with any sort of confidence.
No, you can't have it right now with him, given the lack of availability he's had the last several years. Now, the thing that intrigues me is Brian Gutekunst met with the media yesterday at the real NFL Scouting Combine. That happens in Indianapolis, not at the 3rd Street Market Hall in Milwaukee. And he mentioned, he made kind of a comment that Goody often does about how he only has 7 picks right now, and he would like more, despite having a full roster. That's neither here nor there. this would obviously add a pick and probably a mid-round pick, right? I would guess Jaire's still worth, despite the injury issues,
but
a
his
fourth-round
contract
pick.
is top of the market.
So you think they just ship him for a seventh?
Yes, I think the Packers are in the territory of anything we can get for this guy because everyone knows we get considerable cap savings if he's cut, and we don't want to take on the contract that he's given. Now, the team that takes him on could figure that out and massage the money around if they do an extension, because then you're building off of it. You spread some of that money off. But knowing what we know about Jaire, mainly the biggest thing is his lack of ability and his lack of desire to play when he's less than 100% is going to factor into how much a team is willing to guarantee to him. I imagine the guaranteed numbers are all going to be very low with wherever he ends up in 2025.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm intrigued to see how this plays out, though, because I wouldn't be shocked if it just ends up with, March 13th when the new league year starts, which I think is 2 weeks from today on the dot, or March 12th, excuse me, whatever that Wednesday is the beginning of the new league year. Love that, by the way. We'll be on the air when free agency opens, like we were a year ago when Josh Jacobs broke the internet. I would not be shocked if we get to that day and the Packers say, he's designated post June 1st, he's gone. But if we get to that day and it goes, the Packers have traded cornerback Jaire Alexander for a 6th-round pick, I think we all view that as a win.
Yes.
I mean, if you're able to get something rather than nothing, obviously that is a win. So
yeah, it's a dead asset. And what that tells you that they're trying to trade him is, like, obviously the cuttings portion of it, so there's no compensatory picks because Goody also loves those.
He does.
He pays a lot of attention. And I believe the Packers have even questioned that the compensatory they got was too little.
Oh, yeah, they're going to get one for Yosh Nijman this year?
Yes.
That will likely be a 7th-round pick. But
yes, so they value those picks. And I mean, they're picks. They are what they are. Some of them are good picks, but the Packers typically don't let guys who get paid a ton of money out the door.
No, they do not. But
and Jaire does have a chance to be that, but I just don't expect that to happen.
I'm Team Joshy on that one. All right, all good and fun today on Mr. Irrelevant. Fun, I say sarcastically, because it wasn't very fun for me, but it was very fun for Hunter, Joshy, and Will. Appreciate you all hanging out with us and giving me a hard time.
I've got a quick what we learned.
Oh, is it about me?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I think maybe you should see a doctor just to get things checked out.
We'll talk to you Friday beginning at 12:30 Central, ESPN Milwaukee, ESPN Madison on YouTube. And a reminder, Mr. Irrelevant available wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Wisconsin On Demand, and wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you subscribe there. Love seeing you interact on the audio side. We've been posting a few specials on there as well on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So only can get that in the podcast feed. Just what we call Tuesday and Thursday quickies. Just a couple of quick thoughts. I had a few thoughts on the tush push and the Packers submitting a potential ban for the tush push over on the podcast feed, Apple Podcast, Spotify. What are you giggling at?
We gotta go.
What do you mean we gotta go? What are you watching?
I'm reading the comments in the YouTube chat.
Just move on. Let's get out.
Oh boy! All right, let's get out.
Say
we'll talk
peace,
to you Friday. Peace. Peace.